Hello everyone, welcome back to Black Moon Coven. So today we're going to be doing a kitchen witchery type of video. We're going to be making bread. Bread is a really big symbolic thing in witchcraft. It represents the home, it represents harmony and abundance and fertility. So many things can be done with bread. You can do spells and curses, a whole bunch of different things. So today we're going to be making bread, especially for positivity in the home. So it's going to be a positivity home type of bread. Kitchen witchcraft is actually really great for broom closet witches because you can practice openly in your kitchen, make great food, and practice your spell work within that. So it's really great method of witchcraft that has been super overlooked, I feel. And kitchen witches, here we are. We're going to be making some bread. So this is a traditional buttermilk bread recipe. I'm not vegan, so I don't have these substitutes for a lot of these ingredients. But if someone is vegan and would like to name the substitutes in the comments below, I would be happy to put them in the video description so everyone can see. So if anyone wants to do that, please and thank you. So what you're going to need for this bread recipe, you're going to need flour, a type of all-purpose baking flour. There is bread flour out there, but just an all-purpose baking flour will do great. You're going to need buttermilk, baking soda, and some salt. And that is it. That's all you're going to need for the bread part. Now, for the actual spell work part, you're going to need rosemary and thyme. Okay? Rosemary to bring in that abundance, that love, that great positive feelings, and thyme to banish all of the negativity away from your home. So while it's baking, that is kind of when the magic is happening. So besides all of that, you're going to need a cutting board. You're going to need a big bowl for mixing, measuring cup, and your hands, because we're going to be doing a lot of intention work within the dough. So let us begin. First things first, 3 cups of flour go right into your bowl. Next, you're going to want to add a teaspoon of salt and a teaspoon of baking soda. So watch the baking soda, make sure you don't add too much because then your bread will have a weird taste. Once they are in there, you're going to shift the flour, mix it up real good. Next, you're going to take your buttermilk and mix in 2 cups. Add them in gradually. So what I like to do is I like to add 1 full cup first. And then I like to mix it around. And then once it gets all absorbed, then I'm going to add in the next cup. So here's our next cup. We're going to mix that in. And this is where it's going to get kind of difficult to mix in. If you have a mixer, I honestly recommend doing it by hand just because it feels a lot more old school that way. Plus, the mixer, I don't know if it could handle this type of dough. It's very tough. So, you're going to be mixing that in, and you're going to be feeling your dough with your hands now. So, the dough feels very sticky still. You're going to want to take some flour and dump that right in. And that'll firm up your dough a little bit more. You're going to want to knead it with your hands till you get a nice solid piece of dough that we could work with. When your dough is all done, it should look something like this. No longer sticky, but nice and soft. Then you're going to preheat your oven to about 375 to 400 degrees, and it's going to take about an hour to bake all the way through. You're going to take your baking pan. You can do this on a baking sheet. Make sure it's nice and floured on the bottom. The baking pan I really like to use because it comes out as a nice loafy shape. So you're going to take your bread, make sure it's nice and floured on the bottom, and you're going to put it into your baking pan. And you're going to tuck it in nicely and shape it in there. So don't squeeze too hard along the corners, but there we go. Now, for the herbs. taking a knife, you're going to want to score the bread. So cut into it, and that way the herbs will kind of get into the bread. You could score it however which way you want. So you can make a pentagram into it, you can make a sigil into it. I just like to score it across. Next, you're going to grab some thyme, and you really don't need a lot. A little goes a long way, and you're going to sprinkle some thyme onto the bread. And while you're sprinkling, just think about your home, banishing negativity and letting the positivity and the warmth of homemade bread kind of come in. Next, you're going to take your rosemary, and again, a little goes a long way. Especially with rosemary, you don't want it to be overly seasoned. There we go. We have a little bread, and now it's going to go into the oven, and I will meet you guys here in about an hour. So it's been about an hour, and here is what your bread should look like. Nice golden brown, little flour on the bottom, perfect nice little bread. If you are unsure if it's cooked all the way, you want to knock on the bread, and if you hear a nice hollow sound, that means it's nicely cooked. So let the bread rest a little bit before cutting into it, because it'll still be very, very hot and very warm on the inside. So let it cool for about 20 minutes. And now we are ready to cut into our bread. Now, the crust is going to be very, very crunchy. And this is the type of buttermilk bread that I really like. So there we go. So that is what it should look like on the inside, nice and soft with a nice hard crunchy crust. So that is how we make some buttermilk bread. Hopefully everyone enjoyed this video. Follow me on all of my social media down below, and join the coven if you haven't done so already. Until next time, have a lovely rest of your day.